unique items tier. Alright, here we go. This is the Barbarian unique items tier list. I'm just going to go through all these real quick, show you how good these uniques are for the Barb. So we'll start with 100,000 steps, walking arsenal boots. They don't have movement speed, which instantly makes them a D tier item. Movement speed is pretty much super important on boots. And also the walking arsenal is not meta on any level. You could kind of use walking arsenal, it's alright, but pretty much every Barb build that is good is using Unbridled Rage. So this item definitely needs pretty big buffs to ever be equipped on a character. Ancient South, this item is just horrendously bad. It has 0 redeeming qualities about it. Ranks to Steel Grass don't do that much, and then all the stats on it are actually pretty much worthless. Probably the worst Barb unique, honestly. Battle Trance, this is the Frenzy Amulet, also D tier. The stats aren't very, like, they're not awful, but they're not good, and rare amulets in this game can roll some crazy stats, cooldown reduction, fury cost reduction, plus passives, you know, tons of damage mitigation, stuff like that, and yeah, this amulet cannot compete with that on any level, so even if this amulet was probably twice as good, it still would probably be D tier, that's how bad it is. Butchers, this actually almost is a C tier. It does have some redeeming qualities. The crit while injured on a one-handed stat stick is pretty nice, and then the fact that you can, you know, push stagger and CC stuff with the proc is kind of useful. But in practical play, realistically, you're not going to actually ever use it. So D tier. Fields of Crimson, Rupture is dead. They've killed it. D tier. Maybe if they make Rupture relevant, or you know, let this item make Rupture relevant, that would be, you know, cool. But in the current state of the game, it's worthless. Fists of Fate, I guess. All 4 stats are awful. The proc, or the little like 1 to 300% damage potential does actually have some use for some non-core skill builds, but the fact that the 4 other stats are dead. Gloves can roll pretty good stats, crit's very important, attack speed is really good on some builds, obviously the plus to core skill ranks, and then stuff like that. Just the fact that you have 4 dead stats is really bad on this item, so pretty much a D tier. Frostburn has no real synergy with the Barbarian on you know, any of the stuff, D tier. This one's kind of pathetic, kind of sad. Gores, the Whirlwind Gloves, they've killed this thing so hard. I do agree with the damage cap on it, but the fact that these gloves, 1, they have attack speed. Whirlwind doesn't scale with attack speed. 2, they have no crit chance, which crit chance is extremely important to do damage. Put crit chance on these, maybe get rid of attack speed, something like that, or make attack speed work with Whirlwind. People would actually use this, but in the current game, they're pretty much worthless. Don't put them on your character. Hellhammer, the upheaval weapon. This item is pretty awful. Upheaval is pretty awful. It got some nerf before the game came out for I don't know what reason. It still would have been a worse skill than Hammer of the Ancients. Yeah, very bad. Mother's Embrace, the D tier, yeah, for sure. Problem with this is legendary aspects are really good at generating fury, helping your resource generation, all that kind of stuff. And that's kind of what this item is supposed to do, and yeah, no good. Overkill. If Deathblow becomes a relevant skill for some kind of weird buffs, maybe this item has potential. The stats on it are okay-ish. Not really that good, okay-ish. Yeah. A lot of problem with a lot of these uniques are that their actual stats on the items are really bad. I think this one has like crit while injured and like no like big chunky damage. Let me look, double check. Yeah, these stats on this weapon aren't very good, and like overpowered damage and stuff, kind of weird. Rage of Harrogath, this is the first fucking C tier, B. I almost want to put it B, but I'll go C. I think C is pretty much more accurate. This item has redeeming qualities, and that the lucky hit proc is actually pretty good for speed farming, speed running type content, which is, you know, it's good to have speed farm set up, Whirlwind, whatever. It also has crit chance, quite a bit of crit chance if I remember correctly, for like single target stuff if you get a high roll and pump it up. So it adds a lot of crit chance. While the chest stats are potentially really, really good, this does have like a niche like speed farm kind of use for sure. And if you just want to see how much damage your character can potentially do, that extra crit chance is pretty nice for things like Hammer of the Ancients or any skill like that. C tier, I think. Ramaladini. This item is... The fact that this item, I believe, only works with weapons that swing it, or skills that swing this weapon, so things like, you know, you're not going to want to one-hand your Hammer of the Ancients or whatever, right? Or, you know, you can't even do that with this weapon anyway, but like fact that this weapon cannot buff skills like Hoda or Upheaval is like what is this weapon for? Whirlwind? It's pretty bad on Whirlwind. Frenzy? It's pretty bad on Frenzy. Frenzy does no damage anyway. Just the power of this item could potentially be really good and pretty cool if it affected skills that, you know, don't have to swing it, just like a stat stick kind of thing. But that's not the case. Razorplate, I believe. This item needs 3 more stats. I don't know why it only has thorns. The armor powers are very important, like the armor stats are really important that you can roll on a chest armor. And this just gives you thorns. Niche little item if you just want to play that style, but your character's going to be pretty weak. You're going to be missing out on a lot of stats, so it's pretty bad. D tier. Temerity, D tier. Pants are extremely powerful in this game. You can get so much survivability on them, and this item only works with base, off your base life to make a barrier, so even if it worked with your full actual value of your life, it would still be a D tier, an awful item, so it's really, really bad. A lot of these items are really, really far and away from ever being worth equipping, so that's how that is. What is this? Penitent Greaves. They do have movement speed, they do give you a little bit of damage, but almost every barb build uses Fury, and so getting Fury cost reduction on boots is pretty much mandatory, on top of the fact that, you know, using, I don't remember what the power is called, the one that gives you like unstoppable extra duration and movement speed, that power is like way too good on boots. So these go D tier. That's pretty much the barb uniques. Didn't put the uber ones in here, like Shaco would probably be like obvious S, and then Grandfather would probably be like A, stuff like that, but these are the realistic ones that you're going to see in the game. Only Rage of Harrogath probably worth ever like actually considering using, but in the current game, this is what it looks like. Every barb unique is awful, and the point of this video is kind of why is it this way? Is this intended? That every barb unique is pretty much, and I know it's not just barbs, it's some of the other classes too. Just these items are just horrendously bad, even for their, you know, intended build archetype that they're kind of going in the direction. Like Whirlwind builds shouldn't be using Gores, Upheaval builds aren't going to be using this hammer. Rin builds aren't going to use this weapon, the Rupture thing, stuff like that. It's just like, I feel like this is a bad design. Maybe it should be improved, I think. Good conversation about this would be, I think would be good. One thing I would like to see something like well, you could just like theorize, just like come up with like better ways to, you know, buff these items and stuff and other things. It's just like these items need tweaked or something. They're just so terrible, and I don't feel like this is like, I want to get excited when a unique drops, not be like, oh, that's an extra 100 200k gold or whatever. It's kind of lame. Maybe let us roll maybe like 1 in 20 chance whenever you DE a unique that gives you like a mat, like a Scattered Prism that only works on like uniques, and you can reroll 1 stat off the at the enchanter or something like that. That would increase the viability of some of these uniques, something like that, or just like flat outright improve the itemization or buff them, because things like the 4 stats on Fist of Fate are so bad. The fact that 100,000 steps don't have movement speed, you know, and then the other end, you know, the fact that this item basically does absolutely nothing on this Ancient's Oath is kind of weird. Yeah, I'm confused with the unique design. Anyway, that's the barb uniques, so if you thought that was cool, yeah, let me know. Thanks. Cool. GG.